Assalamu alaikum. In the name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful, I bear witness there is no God but Allah. I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. And brothers and sisters, this is a morning reflection. I thank you for taking a few moments and listening to what I have to say. Um, in light of the recent developments that have taken place in terms of the civil unrest whereby Black people are fighting for their human and divine rights to life. And we would have hashtags, justice for, you name it, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery. It just goes on. And somehow, some way, we got distracted from that. And it is because we are easily led in the wrong direction and hard to lead in the right direction. If we don't understand the time and what must be done, and understand the hour that we're in and the man of the hour that God has raised to lead, teach, and guide us, then we will continuously find ourselves, unfortunately, at the mercy of those who have an agenda, are better organized, and are ready to move us left, right, forward, back, as if we're dust that doesn't matter. So I want you, my beloved, to just sit back for a moment. I don't have a lot of time. I've got a very busy day today. But I want to take time and I want you to understand something. I posted something on my Facebook page and a couple other pages. When I was in college at Hampton Institute, Hampton University now, we were in my room and a bunch of us on the second floor. You know what we were doing, right? We was doing the do. And a brother named Terrence Reeves, we called him Catlow. He was out of Westbury, Long Island. We were in there, man, we was hitting it hard. And him imitating a 5%er, it really was a discussion about religion and politics and the Muslims, but he was imitating the 5%er. And I don't know whether this is a teaching among the 5% nation, the gods and earths or not, but it was so deep what he said, man. I wanted to throw him out of my room because he blew my high. He said these words. He said, "You see, my brother, you have to understand if you want to be understood." I said, man, I wanted to throw him out the room. But literally some 46 years later, that was 1974, some 46 years later, it makes absolute sense. The reason why we're not moving the ball down the field and we are frustrated, in part is because we don't understand. Therefore, it's hard for us to be understood. We cannot be using language from the 60s, the 50s, and be trying to communicate and using means and methods to communicate to a 21st century generation, Joshua generation of warriors, and the context in which we're communicating into. We're going to have to look at ourselves deeply. And not look at others, but look at ourselves deeply and who we're trying to communicate to, and what we're trying to communicate, and who is opposing us communicating. Because if you don't understand your enemy, if you don't understand why we have a military structure in the Nation of Islam, then you really don't understand what warfare is and why there is strategy, tactics, battle plans, maneuvers, attacks, retreats, flanking movements. We don't understand squads and platoons and companies and battalions and brigades and armies. We don't understand why the Quran even says to us, those ranging in ranks as if a solid wall. There's something about being organized and focused on a purpose that makes even the smallest number of us effective and efficient. Now, I'm just going to take time out and help those of us understand that we just can't engage in name calling of those who oppose us. We're going to have to do a little deeper dive in preparation for the flood of propaganda that's about to come. And we're going to have to defend ourselves, our teacher, our teaching in an intelligent but forceful and forthright way. That doesn't mean we have to be dispassionate. But one thing we have to be absent, has to be absent from our defense, has to be hatred. Because you and I may communicate the truth, but if we do it with hate in our heart, we'll miss out. Because our people, God bless them, have been made a certain way by our enemies, but because we're in the nature of God, and Allah says of himself, his two most oft-repeated attributes in the Quran is beneficence and mercy. That means that's the nature in which we are created. So we've got beneficence and mercy in us, brother and sister. So you're going to find us apologizing. You're going to find us forgiving. You're going to find us doing those things. And some of us just don't understand because we're so bitter and so hateful. I don't hate my enemies, but I damn sure going to destroy them, because if we don't get rid of them, the earth will continue to convulse in the way that it is, because they are a burden on this planet. And even if we get rid of every physical person that we think is the enemy, unless we destroy that mindset that inhabits the bodies, not only of those whom we consider to be our enemy, hell, our own people, our black people walking around with their minds. So there is wise Satan and there are dumb devils. You and I are going to have the power of discernment and the ability to see the difference between what is the same, what is opposite, and what is similar, that can often be confused. If we don't have that power of discernment, we'll use terms like everybody, anytime, all. We'll use these kind of terms, which is kind of show that we're not getting this thing. So look, I'm going to take just a brief few moments, because I know you all got to get to work and do what you got to do. But I just want to take a few moments, and I want to show you some receipts, as the young people say. I'm a 63-year-old father and grandfather. I have 4 sons and 2 grandsons. And I'm doing these kind of broadcasts because I want it on the record that I'm no anti-Semite, no bigot. I'm not homophobic. I'm not misogynist. That ain't even in me. I don't hate Jewish people, but I have a history in my family of what they did to my family in Wilmington, North Carolina, what they did to my grandmother and my grandparents in the garment district, in the needle industries in New York, what they did to my mother and my auntie as they went through nursing school and worked during the time of so-called integration, and what they are now doing to me that will affect my sons and my grandsons. And I must make sure, and it's on the record, that we're not haters and bigots and anti-Semites and misogynists and homophobes, because I want my grandchildren to know that their grandfather was a man who met the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan when I was a 19-year-old sophomore student at Hampton Institute. I've known this man for those 40 plus years. And in my private conversations with him, which have been many, I've never heard him say anything that would suggest that he hates Jewish people or that he wants us to hurt or harm them. Never. These people in the Anti-Defamation League are liars. The American Jewish Committee are liars. The Simon Wiesenthal Center are liars. They take his words, they take them out of context, whether it's Alan Dershowitz, whether it's Mr. Greenblatt, whether it's Rabbi Cooper. They take the minister's words and they put it any way they want to. But just saying that he didn't say it is not good enough. You have to understand their mindset and what happened to them and why they're so afraid of their history being exposed to the world. Now, let me start off with, in Wilmington, North Carolina, when my great-grandparents were terrorized by prominent members of the Jewish synagogue there, and the former mayor of the city. He was Jewish and a prominent businessman, along with the white supremacists. There were Jews who suffered because they were on the side of the fusionists and the Republicans at that time. They suffered. There are Jews who bled and died with us in the civil rights movement. It is true. And there are Jews today who are sympathetic and empathetic to our movement. And right now, don't think, the Holy Quran says, don't think that they're all united together. They're not. There's an argument going on amongst them regarding us. And I'm specifically meaning Minister Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam and black people and who we are and whose we are. There's an argument going on within them. They don't let us in on that argument all the time. But there is an argument going on among them. The Quran says that because where there are four of them, Allah is the fifth. Where there's three of them, Allah is the fourth. He's there with them in there, arguing with them, and it's bear witness in the Holy Quran. They're not all together. So look, I just want to give you some things and some receipts and know that the information is out there. And that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's research team has so much data, undisputable data, thousands of citations, annotated footnotes. Go look up that word, annotated footnotes. Go look them up. Now, my purpose in doing what I'm doing, brother and sister, is really in truth, what I want you to do is close the gap between us and Minister Farrakhan. So I'm asking you to go back and do what I'm doing, a rereading of Closing the Gap. Please. Not just a casual reading like, oh, I read it. No, go back and get into it. I don't like to mark in my books, but this one I got to mark in the book, and I'm highlighting and I'm going through it again because I want to have the inner views of the minister's heart, mind, and soul, because I want to line my mind up with his mind, because his mind is lined up with the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And as the dean of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's ministers, Lucius Biar, said, how do you know that that man that you met was God? He said, I know he's God because he made me all up into himself. So if the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Master Father Muhammad, is one, and Minister Farrakhan is one with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, what do we look like being over here doing like this? We need to line our minds up with him, because the dragon can't get to the woman, won't get to the woman, won't get to the messianic figure. The dragon will spew forth the flood and will cause the woman will be taken off into the wilderness, the scriptures say. But the dragon will be wroth and angry and make war with the remnant of her seed. So who you think the remnant of her seed is? It's you and me. So, so my brothers and sisters, you and I are gonna have to get ready. Now, I'm spending too much time. Let me go right to, what it is that I want to say to you, brother and sister, please. You have to understand who it is that you are now fighting with, or who are fighting with us. And it requires then that you and I are going to have to do a study of their history. Even if it's by them. Of course, they're going to give you ESPN 10 plays of the week. But nonetheless, you got to study their 10 plays of the week, because they are the best at promoting it. Now, what is it that we seem to have stumbled upon? And I don't want to go on a deep dive on long history of them, but you do have to understand, when we say that they were involved in the slave trade, don't let them just blow you off. See, because all of them weren't openly practicing Judaism. Hear me, brothers and sisters, please hear me. You have to know how can I say it? You and I are going to have to know the history of Portugal, Spain and Portugal. You'll have to know the history of it. And once you know the history of Spain and Portugal, then what you'll have to understand is what happened when the Muslims invaded Spain and Portugal. And you have to understand what happened when the Christians conquered Spain and Portugal. And then you have to understand what happened to the Jews and the Muslims under Ferdinand and Isabel. You'll have to understand the Spanish Inquisition and what happened to Muslims and Jews. See? Then we know that the Renaissance is a result of the Muslims preserving Roman and Greek philosophy advancing science, medicine, astronomy, architecture, farming, you name it. They moved it forward. There's a 1,000-year gap in European history from the Dark Ages to the Renaissance. However, anti-Semitism or anti-Jewism was in the age of the Renaissance and the Reformation. And you'll find it in the literature of Martin Luther. He was a virulent Jew hater. See? You have to understand what happened to the Jews in Western Europe from 1400 to the 1600s. Then you have to understand what happened to Jewish people as they were attacked in 1391. And what's interesting, when you look at 1391 backwards, it's 1931. That's an interesting date for us, but I won't science on that. But in 1391, there was an order of mass conversion of the Jews. Either that or die or be expelled from the country. And many of them converted. They're called conversos. They converted, but they didn't get a good Christian education, if you will. So they continued to live the life secretly as Jews. So what I'm trying to explain to you is that when many of them were expelled, or many of them left with the opportunities as Portugal began to become an empire, particularly in West Africa. See, it wasn't the British or the European or the British that was first going up and down. It was the Portuguese. And many of them were secret Jews or openly Jewish, because in West Africa and eventually in Brazil and in the New World, there was a level of tolerance. And they were integral in the slave trade. Now, anybody that wants to debate it, I'll just take you to their scholars, because they're the ones that said it. It ain't me. Nothing I wrote. It's just the truth. So here we go. Yes, Brother Michael, the Muslims and the Moors conquered Spain and Portugal and occupied it from 711 through 1492, when they were pushed out. And what set Europe off particularly against Islam, it really made them go off, was in 1453. See, the Dark Ages were introduced when Rome in Italy fell to Alaric and the barbarians. That introduced the so-called Dark Ages. However, there was a second Rome, or Eastern Rome, which was in Constantinople, named after Constantine. It's now today's Istanbul. And in 1453, Mehmed II, or Fatih Mehmed the Conqueror, took Constantinople, and now it's named Istanbul, in 1453. When that happened, the popes, so you got to know what was going on. The popes of Rome issued a papal bull that gave the King Alfonso of Portugal the right to enslave any infidel, anybody that wasn't a Christian, to take them, to enslave them, to kill them, to do what they want to do. The church blessed slavery. You got to understand if you want to be understood. Now, why were they such haters of Jewish people? One is, of course, they accused them of being Christ killers, but also because there are many of them that knew what the Jews really thought about Jesus. And what they wrote about him, the Babylonian rabbis wrote about. There were two kind of rabbis. There was the Palestinian rabbis, as I understand it, rabbinical writers, and then there were the Babylonian ones. And they wrote stuff about Jesus, man. They said Jesus was boiling in excrement, that Mary, his mother, was a whore. They said all kind of stuff. But see, so this is why the minister says they must reject the Talmud and accept the Torah, which is the word of God. They can't put the interpretations of the Torah over the very word of God that is found in the Pentateuch, which is the first 5 books of the Bible. This is what they're not discussing. They call it anti-Semitism. No, this is the root of the problem. That they can do to us whatever they want to do to us. Now, you have to understand if you want to be understood. Now, they're very wise in the scriptures. They know that what Paul preached was Judaism for Gentiles. But they never accepted Jesus as the Messiah. And they look at the gospel. This is a wise New Testament scholar, Hugh Schoenfeld. He wrote a book called The Passover Plot, where he literally says that the disciples of Jesus and the disciples conspired to make it look like he fulfilled the scripture, that he was drugged, that he didn't die on the cross, they got him down early, and they created this whole myth about him. He writes an interpretation of the New Testament. And he tries to explain to you how Mark was the first gospel. No, it ain't. Matthew is. Be quiet. That Mark is the first gospel. And that Matthew and Luke are copied off of Mark. And those 3 gospels are called the synoptic gospels. They're synthesized. They got similar stories through them. But he points out that John is a whole different language and written in a way that tells that this is not written by a Hebrew speaker. It's written by somebody else in another person, another voice, in another way. So that's why you find all those great I ams in there. There's something else in John. And chapters added to Mark and others. I mean, he goes through a whole thing. So they never really accepted the New Testament. And they've said that the New Testament is anti-Semitic. It's anti-Jewish. So how you have them in your pulpit and they don't believe in Jesus? They call his mother a whore. And they say that the Gospels and the letters of Paul and the letters of the Apostle and the revelation of John is anti-Semitic. And yet you say, you Muslims don't believe in Jesus. Please. The 19th surah of the Holy Quran is named after the mother of Jesus, Maryam. And Jesus is mentioned more in the Holy Quran than Muhammad. And in Muslim tradition, the only one we believe that's coming back of all of the prophets is Jesus. We don't believe in Jesus though, right? Okay, let me move on. So what you have to understand is their hatred of us, the Nation of Islam, because they started off when Minister Farrakhan was defending Jesse Jackson from their attacks. They firebombed his campaign headquarters. They threw dead animals on his steps. They threatened his life. The Secret Service told us they had over 100 real threats against Jesse Jackson's life in '84. And 10 Caucasians in jail for actually plotting to kill him. They took out a full-page ad in the New York Times. You know how much a full-page ad in the New York Times costs? While we were yelling, run, Jesse, run, they wrote a full-page ad in the New York Times saying, ruin, Jesse, ruin. They created an atmosphere in which Reverend Jackson could have been assassinated. So you have to understand that anybody that had an even-handed approach to the Israeli-Palestinian question was a threat to them. And I know you don't understand that, but you need to study, brother and sister, and understand that these folk have sway and power. And they're very concerned that if we ask for reparations, that might cut into their money. Let me digress for a moment. You have to understand the what happened to them in Russia, in Europe, Western, Eastern Europe, everywhere they went. You got to understand what was done to them. I'm not arguing whether it was their fault or not. I'm not arguing that. What I'm saying is what happened to them and what motivates them to do what they're doing right now. Can you give me just a second? Let me go back and get some more receipts for you. Thank you. What you gotta understand is these evil bastards, the Nazis. And you have to understand what they're doing to Minister Farrakhan and us is what was done to them. Hurt people. Whether it's their fault or not, whether they're not the real children of Israel or not, I'm not arguing that. I'm arguing human beings that are abused in childhood usually wind up being abusers. These people have been abused, man. So they're going to do to us what was done to them. This cat here, Joseph Goebbels, man, you got to know him. You got to understand, if you want to be understood, how they told the big lie. This was the master of the big lie. He told the big lie so many times that the people of Germany, 2/3 of the people of Germany, either participated or ignored the fact that 1/3 of their population was put in boxcars and taken to death camps and slave labor. This cat was effective, man. He controlled the media. He controlled the museums and the arts. Oh yeah, Joseph Goebbels. You need to study this cat, man. So the Nazis got their race law or their laws of race from the United States. They came over here and studied racial segregation, and they took it back to Germany and implemented it. I got receipts, man. I don't have to make this stuff up. And they inculcated it in Nazi law. This is the Bible of the neo-Nazis and the Nazis, man. His struggle and his nationalism. You have to know about him and the machinery that he set up and all these wicked demons that work with him in his inner circle. You got to know the SS. You got to know everything that they're doing to us was done to them. Trust me. I know the game plan, brothers and sisters. Listen to me well. I know the game plan because I've studied what happened to them. And they're doing that same thing to us. And anytime you accuse them of controlling this or controlling that, they'll tell you that that's anti-Semitism and that's a canard. Ain't no damn canard. If somebody messed over you and you didn't want to be in that situation again, wouldn't you put yourself in a position that you could control the context and the conditions under which you were operating and living? So that's what they do. That's what they do, brother and sister. They control the circumstances under which they operate because they don't ever want to be put in a position again where they're vulnerable again. To be put in boxcars and ovens, or to be expelled from a country, or to be forcibly to be converted by the sword, whether it was by Christians or Muslims, because in the 11th and 12th century, 11th and 12th or 11th and 13th century, Muslim Berbers came in and converted, made them convert to Islam. Where heretofore from 700 through the 1100s, they lived basically, as long as they paid their tax, they lived in harmony with the Muslims and the Christians, as long as they paid their tax. You have to understand the fear they have that one day the FOI will be like Himmler's death squad. This is why they definitely told Herb Rubin and them, y'all need to shut up, man. Because if something happened to Farrakhan, they blame us. Them zealots that's with Farrakhan, they are organized and they will go off. You want to know why the mafia didn't mess with us? Because they didn't want no war with Elijah. They left us alone. Trust that. And you have to know, Joseph Goebbels wrote propaganda. Now, all this Mein Kampf and all that stuff, I got this off of Amazon. But yet they took the secret relations of blacks and Jews off of Amazon. This chilling tale of propaganda by Joseph Goebbels with pictures and everything. But you know what's interesting? In this book, who wrote the foreword? Joseph Goebbels was lifting up his Führer, his leader. And you got to study these cats, man. Then you understand the game plan and how they're running it on us. Now, look. This secret relationship that we've had, they don't want to talk about those who are involved in slavery. They don't want to talk about it. But we're going to have that uncomfortable talk, Julian Edelman. Don't just take our brother Deshaun Jackson to the Holocaust Museum and go to the African American Museum. No, take your behind when coronavirus is over and the bubonic plague, take your behind over to Goree Island in Senegal, to Elmina Castle, to Cape Coast, and see the slave dungeons. And I don't know whether they changed those doors out or not. They had the Star of David on them over our slave dungeons. They may have changed those out because I visited it twice. And the second time, I don't remember seeing it. And take him through the door of no return. And then show him in the secret relationship between blacks and Jews. See? Secret relationship between blacks and Jews. Their involvement in the slave trade and how they sold us and they were the auctioneers. This ain't anti-Semitism, it's just history. Now, here's the thing, brothers and sisters, and I want you to get it. I don't hate these people. I really don't. But in volume 1 of Secret Relations Between Blacks and Jews, there are 1,275 annotated footnotes from literally 76 books and 18 articles. In Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews, Volume 2, there are 1,762 annotated footnotes, 11 illustrations, From 358 books, 194 articles, the total between these two is 3,037 footnotes taken out of their libraries and archives, quoting their scholars, quoting their rabbis, and we're not doing to them what they do to Minister Farrakhan. We're just giving you the straight up skinny. Now, if they were involved in the slave trade, see, let me show you how they manipulate it. In those books, you'll find that it will say that 75% of the Jews in the South owned slaves. They will manipulate and say, we said that 75% of all of the slave owners were Jews. See how wicked they are? And what happened in North America is totally different than what happened in South America, particularly in Brazil. Brazil, there are over 80 million Africans in Brazil. And again, I go back to Portugal, West Africa, Angola, and how close that part of Africa is to Brazil and why they speak Portuguese. You have to study, brothers and sisters, to understand. You have to study to understand these conversos and how many Catholics in Latin America trace their roots and find out that they have Jewish heritage and very proud of it. It's written in their books, but they know that you don't read that in the barbershop, beauty shop, or at the barbecue joint. And that's why they're going to continue to bamboozle us. But what happened? What happened? They were integrated into the South. They were part of the South. They were fought. Judah Benjamin face, this Jew, his face was on the Confederate money. Talking about taking out flags and all that statue. They were intricately involved in the Confederacy in keeping us enslaved in the South in particular, and they believed in white supremacy. So, when did it change? It changed when Leo Frank murdered a little white girl in Georgia in 1913, and he accused a black janitor named James Coney of raping and murdering Mary Flagan. He in turn charged Coney with the crime, and never before in the South, hear what I'm saying, after black codes, Jim Crow, never before in the South has a black man's testimony been ever taken over a white man. That flipped the script for them in the South, brother and sister. It flipped the script. And from that point, that's when they started saying, oh, we're oppressed like you are. That's when it started. But you have to know their overall history in America. And they bear witness in here that they were involved in the slave trade. It's their written history. And I want you to look on the census form. I want you to fill out the census now. But I want you to look on the census form and see if you can find Jewish or Irish or Polish on the census form. You can't find it. These are ethnic groups. So you have to know how Americans, immigrants, became white, working toward whiteness. Yes, Irish were discriminated against. Yes, Polish was discriminated. Yes, Italians and Sicilians and all them, and Jews were discriminated against by the white Anglo-Saxon Protestants. But they're all white now. And Eric Goldstein writes the book, The Price of Whiteness, Jews, Race, and the American Identity. To adopt the American identity, brothers and sisters, they found a people over here that were hated more than themselves. It was us. And they went along with the script. Yes, they marched with Dr. King. Look, stop that. I know what it's going through your head. This ain't hate. I don't hate them. I very much have a very dear story of Jewish people who did things for me thou be eternally gratified for. And this is why I don't speak of them all of them, and any of them. And I can't go there because I know that the media is an illusion because of a man named Harvey Kaufman. In New York, when I was a little boy, I don't know if you all are old enough to remember a daytime serial called Dark Shadows with Barnabas Collins. It used to come on after school, and people were scared to watch it at home by themselves because it looked so real. Excuse me. But the truth of the matter is, he took me down to where it was filmed at WABC in New York. And I got to see the fake props, the fake smoke machines, the fake cobwebs, the cardboard castle that was Barnabas Collins' castle. I said, man, all this stuff is fake. It kind of reminded you of Eddie Munster on the Munsters, where he had this favorite ghoul on television named Zombo. And he wrote into Zombo, and he won this contest to come and be on Zombo's show. And he came and seen Zombo was a regular cat that was painted up to look like a ghoul. And Eddie went on the show and turned it up. Zombo's a fake. Zombo's a fake. Y'all ain't old enough to remember the Munsters, but see if you can find that on YouTube. I'm sure it's somewhere out there. The Munsters. But that's what I know. The media is an illusion, man. It's fake. Now, because, again, control, because of how they were treated by white Anglo-Saxon Protestants in their portrayal in the movies, they went out and created an empire of their own. So when you say that they control Hollywood, you can't say that. That's anti-Semitic. It's a trope. It's a canard. There ain't no canard. All the major studios is run by them. You have to know that. You have to know about blackface. Man, the people that made blackface famous, Eddie Cantor and Al Jolson from vaudeville, singing songs, Mammy, I come from Alabama, to eat your eggs and hammy, Mammy. Come on, man. I walk a million miles for one of your smiles, Mammy, down on one knee. Come on, man. They were imitating us, man. Putting charcoal on their face, singing blackface songs, man. I'm not mad at them. I'm just telling you the truth. This is dispassionate historical analysis of what's going on. And then they shut this brother down here, Steven Spielberg. Man, he told it all, man. The disproportionate numbers, pound for pound, they're the most powerful people in this country. Pound for pound, it's true. I ain't no need me arguing about who's fighting against us, who's seeking to crush Minister Farrakhan and our movement. They're the most powerful people in this country. When you read everything that he writes about, from banking to education, to college professors, to Hollywood, to industry, and this man, you need to be quiet. You need to stop talking. You telling everybody how this thing is going. Now, what happened to them in Nazi Germany? We're not Holocaust deniers. We recognize that Hitler was a wicked killer. But you're still talking about him today. And you need a new boogeyman, so you're making Minister Louis Farrakhan the new boogeyman. He's your fundraising tool for the ADL, the American Jewish Committee. Black anti-Semitism is growing among. They know what's going on. Hell, they promoting it. And they send in checks and they're telling these Holocaust survivors and their children and grandchildren, great-grandchildren, this man is a threat. He's intended to do to us what was done to your father, to Goomba and them, your father and them, your grandfather. This guy Louis Farrakhan, he believes the same thing as Adolf Hitler. What do you think that put in a young Jew's heart? Come on, y'all. But Norman Finkelstein, see, there's an argument going on amongst them. He calls it a Holocaust industry. This is what they argue among themselves, y'all. I ain't making this up. And you have to understand that, it is almost crazy. Why are they fighting the Iranians? Why are they so afraid of the Iranians? When it was Cyrus the Great of Persia who freed them from Babylon, if you believe that was them. See? So why are they going off like that? And anybody that talks about them, the late, great Tony Martin, he talks about what happened to him at Wesley College for using the secret relationship of blacks and Jews. Man, they wore him out. And Doc Ben is written about where the three Abrahamic religions, where the roots of it is. Well, the roots are us. Then who are these folk that are claiming that they're the only Semites? See? And what was happening in the Ottoman Empire in 1913 before the Balfour Declaration and the destruction of the Ottoman Empire? What happened? Oh, I got receipts, y'all. See, you have to understand why they call us all kind of names, separatists and all of that. But yet you can't understand why they support the state of Israel the way they do, because it's biblical, man. You have to understand the biblical roots of land ownership. And why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in teaching us that land is the basis of independence. It's their playbook. They know who we are. We don't know who we are. And the more we wake up to who we are, they get frightened thinking we're going to do to them what they did to us. This is why they fighting so hard, y'all. And this is a dangerous time because we're in transition and we get distracted. Stop attacking Nick Cannon, man. Leave him alone. Pray for him. He's just a baby. Notice they ain't coming after me. They ain't coming after Abdul Malik. They're not coming after Brother Ishmael. They don't want to mess with Sister Ava. Brother Arf jumped off the top rope on them jokers, man. You go read that article in the Final Call. See? But that thing is about land. It's about land. So they debate amongst themselves the rebirth of the state of Israel. Is it of God or is it of man? And this is what these Torah Jews is arguing back and forth with them versus the Talmudic Jews, or those who are really secular Jews. They just say they're Jews, but they don't practice the religion. And these Torah Jews are saying, man, no. Judaism is a religion. Anybody can be. You can be in any nationality, be any ethnic group or race and be a Jew. Not in their minds. And so within their own selves, they're having a debate. Shlomo Sands, the invention of the Jewish people. That's pretty deep. Wow. The invention of the land of Israel, from Holy Land to homeland. That's pretty deep. And to understand, the Jews aren't the only Semites. Arabs are considered Semites too. So you have to understand the history of the Middle East conflict. You got to read what they say. You have to understand the idea of Zionism and what the different approaches are. Some are non-religious, some are strictly political, economic, social, ethnic, and nothing to do with religion. So understand, brothers and sisters, that a play is being run against us right now. And you got to study them. What they do, how they're doing it, and how they're manipulating us right now, and the fight that we're in. I close by simply saying this, brothers and sisters. Let's get real clinical like Brother Abdul Arif did in his article. Go and read that article and how he went after Mr. Dershowitz with surgical precision. Then follow the lead of Brother Abdul Qiyam, Brother Jesse, formerly Brother Jesse, and how he takes the minister's teachings and he's putting it out there. If you want to get more specific, when they put out a lie, find the truth and hit it up. There are many brothers, Brother Ben and Brother Willie, and many of the believers who are very skilled in putting together clips of the minister, giving that, and then Brother Dimitri. And then go on the research minister.com and you can get all the slides you want to that bear witness to just about everything I just showed you in these books. They've extracted it, put it on slides. You can put out the Ilya Rashad. All of these brothers and sisters, this is out there. Doc Ridgely and all of them. Look, I close. We do not hate Jewish people. We do not hate white people. We hate the evil that's been done to us. We're not going to keep on beating on Nick Cannon because he apologized. Read his words carefully. He didn't throw the minister under the bus. But you know something? We've hurt him by calling him a sellout and a traitor and all that kind of stuff. I know we were disappointed and we were hurt. I was when I first read it, and then I went back and read it again. I said, well, wait a minute. I don't see anything in him throwing the minister under the bus, even though that was Rabbi Cooper's intention, is to separate him, and then go and read Allen Iverson's mea culpa. He said, I don't hate anybody. I just know the minister. I met the minister 3 years ago through his son Mustafa and their family. He said, I still respect and love their family. He said, I understand he said some things that are controversial, but he didn't throw the minister under the bus. He said he posted that picture 3 years ago. And to go back to Nick Cannon had did that interview with Griff months ago. That was already out there. So why did they bring it up now? Because they saw him with Farrakhan. Stephen Jackson. He was the darling of the movement until he was seen with Minister Farrakhan. Then they started attacking him. See, Deshaun Jackson, he had to apologize because he put something out there that was false. Not that what was in it was untrue, but the source was false. But they really went after him and keep saying Minister Farrakhan. Put Google alert, go to Google, if you have Gmail, Google alert, put in, make one of your Google alerts for news articles, Louis Farrakhan or Nation of Islam, and watch the hateful, bigoted, lying, scandalous propaganda articles that are written about the minister that keep recycling and repeating the same lies over and again. He said Judaism is a good religion. He said that Jews were termites. He said that Hitler was great. Brothers and sisters, look, you and I are going to have to wake up and understand what it is that we're up against and how they fight and how to fight them back. We must set an unapologetically Black or community-based agenda. 2, we must be organized around that agenda. 3, we must have a plan to implement that agenda. 4, we've got to have a way of evaluating that agenda, whether it was implemented properly, and make the adjustments, and then start back again from 1 to 2 to 3. It's nation time, brothers and sisters. We're going through birth pains right now. And right now isn't a time for us to get distracted. Our people are fighting for justice. Our people are fighting for reparations. Our people are fighting for their fair share of a country that they helped build. The land that was stolen from the Indian and the Mexicans, and the labor that was stolen from our ancestors, and the wealth that was built on all of our backs. It's nation time, y'all. We can't get distracted. Stop attacking Nick Cannon. and Deshaun Jackson or Allen Iverson or Steven Jackson, or leave them alone. Give them encouragement, pray for them, support them. But keep your eye on Satan the dragon and his dumb devils. And let's make war with the beast. Who make war with the beast? Yeah. Let's go make war with the beast, y'all. And let's set our people free. So, I don't know what I said made any sense. I don't know if I made friends or enemies or frenemies. And I wish that we would not be so dismissive of one another. Stop dismissing the Moors because of what they say. Study them and study the occupation of Spain and Portugal, the Iberian Peninsula under the Muslims. Study it. Study it. Study Chancellor William's destruction of black civilization. Study what happened to our civilizations. But then go deeper and ask yourself why. If we were so great, if we created the 7 wonders of the world, then the 8th wonder should be what the hell happened to them 7 wonders? And why the only one left is the pyramid? Ask yourself the question. What happened to those great civilizations and why did they go? Then study recent history, where it said that all roads lead to Rome. It took 1,000 years for that to happen. What happened to them? The first Rome, the second Rome, Constantinople, the third Rome, which is Moscow. And why they rise and why Trump and white nationalists are not fighting the Russians, even though that was some anti-communism before. You need to study what's going on. And lastly, study the Ottoman Empire and when it broke up and the deal that was cut that has the Middle East cut up into these Francophone and Anglophone spheres of influence. Why is Lebanon French? Why was Syria French? Why was Iraq English? Why was Palestine English? Why was Egypt English? Why is Saudi Arabia was known as Arabia? Why is it known as Saudi Arabia now? What deals were cut? How did Kuwait come into existence? Wasn't that the 19th province of Iraq? What's going on with the Kurds? What's happening with the Turks? What's happening with all that over there? See, you don't understand how he works. He divides and he rules. That's what he was taught by his father. You can laugh at Elijah Muhammad's teachers if you want to. Extract the principles if you don't believe the story on how it came about. Man, come on, y'all. They're doing it every day, and you sitting here arguing with me. I'm not arguing with the nationalists. I love the nationalists. I'm not arguing with the Pan-Africanists. I love the Pan-Africanists. I'm not arguing with those, even my integrationist brothers and sisters. I'm not arguing with them. I just want us to have some form of operational unity. And then when we get to the promised land, we can argue about what the hell, whose religion was the best, whose way was the best. Let's get across the river first. Then we'll argue about that later. So I thank you, brothers and sisters. I hope that you will continue to support us in our efforts to renovate our mosque. That will be the Southwest Region's Center for Re-Education and Retraining. That we're going to expand what we do, our reach, not just for Muslim, but to help our community, to end the street organization conflict, to train our people in the blue-collar trades, also in the green-collar economy, and the advanced technologies of robotics and coding and artificial intelligence and all of those things. It has to start somewhere. And so we're going to do that in our school and in our sanctuary building. We got to make a progress at a quicker pace. So support us if you will go to the Cash App or go to our website and make a donation. We will appreciate it to our building fund drive. So that being said, brothers and sisters, again, I want you to study Closing the Gap, get back in it again. And then I want you to make sure that you study, you read, you study, you pray, and you work and prepare yourself for the flood of propaganda that's about to come. So I thank you, my brothers, my sisters. I love you from the depths of my heart. I hope that I have not offended any of you in how I went about this. But I wish you the best. I pray Allah will grant you every good desire. But I want you to continue to strive to be a good Muslim, a good Christian, a good Hebrew, a good Moor, a good revolutionary, a good Panther. Just be the best at what you say you are. And stop dry hating on Minister Farrakhan, man. He's earned the right for your respect and your damn silence. Keep your mouth off Farrakhan. Because, you know, I'm going to come after you. There's some lines you shouldn't cross. So may Allah bless you, brothers and sisters. Once again, as I greet you in peace. And tune in to this Sunday, the Sister Minister Dr. Ava Muhammad, the Law of God. You know she's going to skull crush these fools. I can't wait to hear from her this Sunday. And Jumu'ah prayers at 1 o'clock. For those of us who will be watching Jumu'ah prayer. And study group is tonight at 7:30. So continue to support the Nation of Islam. Go to NOI.org, NOI.org, and tune in and hear the life-giving teachings. So thank you for listening. May Allah bless you and your families. Stay safe, brothers and sisters. Do not listen to these suckers telling you that COVID-19 is a hoax. Man, look here. My brother Abdul Hafiz Muhammad is a martyr. He died, man. I cry. I still weep about it now to this very moment, man. My brother is gone, man, but not forgotten. He's not dead. He lives in me. He lives in me because he paid a price so that our consciousness would be raised inside the nation and not believe this crap that this is a hoax. This is no hoax, y'all. This is a virus that mutating. In Houston, there's a different strain that's more contagious than around the country, bro. Stay your behind home if you can. Wash your hands. Clean off surfaces. Wear a mask. Keep social distancing, man. Protect yourself and your family and your elders. This is no hoax. And then remember, don't you be no damn guinea pig for a vaccine that may or may not work. Make sure that our virologists and our epidemiologists and our scientists and our chemists check off on it first. If they say okay, then we go forward with it. But we want the Cubans. We want the Cubans and what they got, because they've got a medical system that works. And they've been all around the world to help people, except for right here 90 miles away from the United States. So look, brother and sister, wake up, man, and smell the coffee. Understand the people that oppose us and why they oppose us, what happened to them and why hurt people, and why they keep hurting us and denying and obfuscating and lying. Because of what happened to them. They got a long history of getting dogged out, kicked out of countries, converted, murdered, mass extermination, all of that. But hell, that don't give them no right to take it out on us. Our time has come. Let us unite, pool our resources, get up, and do for self. Thank you for listening. May Allah bless you as I greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum.